Well, a lot of my blurb there in the biography is not exactly literary. It doesn't cover my literary accomplishments so much as travels, and it isn't bragging that I put it in there. It's, well, to paraphrase Cervantes, to do much and to see much is to know much. And you can be an Emily Dickinson type of poet and stay home all day and be very sensitive and all that, and the world will love you, or you can take another route. And I just wanted to let you know that the other route is a lot of fun. Okay. This first poem, pardon to the females of the audience, this was written before ladies were allowed in combat, so they are not referred to when the situation calls for it. It's called Mom's Little Target. Oh dear, all of you patient moms, it's time to count to 10. They've started up another war. Those bullets are spiraling down their bore, and those power-playing bozos are keeping tidy score. Yes, they're putting holes in your sons again. It is well the race is fertile, with many sons to go around. It takes quite a few to make a parade. Your boy got an instrument he can play? If not, he can march to the tune of the day with those juggling generals and Black Reaper the Clown. Off he goes. Perhaps he'll write from some lonely frontier post. Dreamy, smartly stepping behind the grand flag. Oh, resplendent distinction should he carry that rag. And into battle, brave lions. Ah, victorious triumph, except one snag. A few casualties more than expected, and a few less victors to boast. Oh, Tisk, your boy's not coming back, but look at all your gain. The honor brought unto the cause, heroic deeds recited ad nos. Why, 'twould give the yellowest coward pause. What a comfort to know that his murder was sane. And my, oh my, it is sorely hoped that you had another son, so that your name is carried on, and pride and glory have another pawn to breed or fight and sing their song, till lads or war or both are gone. The other poem, for which I have to give a little preamble, is called Shem. For those of you who don't know who Shem is, spoiler alert, he's the eldest son of Noah. He helped build the ark. He traveled the voyage. He was 100 years old when the voyage was completed and they set up the world again. And at that point he had his first child. Shem. I'm not as fond of rain as once I was. And cacti have become a favorite plant. Sea adventures have lost their charm and cool allure. And well, my wanderlust has just plain found its cure. A new vista, moist with mud and clinging mold, gray sky clouds scatter on the wings of unbound birds. But for me, the lightest drizzle will never be the same, and sorrowfully, rainbows hold less awe than others claim. Yet, steadfast I, my father's eldest son, I labored with him and built these decks to haul the whole. In haste, we boarded both the feral and the pet before launching into the forbidding and the foretold wet. Change and evil and hope dance or die this day. He, the pilot, has 10,000 beautiful names, and death unkindly displays his million faces. We shall see which of the old players our mobile craft outpaces. But here and now, animals are not as seaworthy as one might think. I found that damp fur and sick and cranky sums to some. Insects have fared the better, I believe, with less environmental impact to relieve. Oh, I've had better months by far than those just past. Yet I give thanks my wife and blessed family live. I've abided almost 100 years within a realm sin defiled, but now, refreshed, perhaps is worthy of my child. And so journey's end has come to us at last. The sun dominates a lovely, clearing sky. It shall be fine, once again, to trot upon the land and see anew life's miracles at every hand. Yet it is time to fling wide the doors and air this place. Haul out the debarking ramp and open every stall. Shoo out every tiger, lizard, ox, and bat, and seed the world from the Ark of Ararat. Impassioned glows the void. How shall I generate the thought not thought before? How could I sing a heart of songs, not sung since times of yore? How shall I love you differently? How chime the words unique? How plays the script of life again as ever fresh mystique? 300,000 generations, each one with vows anew. Each special love, a special love, each one the first and true. Thus spark by spark the ages toll, as propagating lusts repeat, yet contrary to the replicate, each sacred bond bears gloried heat. And when the final seed does fade, in years untold and far, the universe shall blaze with us, for each love has writ a star. Cowboy Pete's Lament. Riding on the sun-parched range, my horse, he's got the scraggly mange. And ain't it just so doggone strange for me to think of you? You looked so pretty when I saw you last. Sorry I left so lightning fast, but your paw was cocking for a second blast when my sights were set for you. And come to think, there tweren't no harm, except some salt in the tail and buck in the arm, and the ranch and the kids and the yellin' schoolmarm that this critter's to fetch with you. But life is tough, like old buffalo roast. Alone on the prairie where I miss you the most, so I'm fixin' to lasso your hitchin' post. Yes, I'm hitting the trail for you. The water in my canteen's all smelly and bad. Them circling buzzards is eyeing me a tad. And things is looking mighty sad, 'cause I'm not there with you. And on I go for days through burning covered wagon haze. Past rattlesnakes during cranky ways, I make my way to you. And why it is, I just don't know. Contrary winds in your heart blow. Your mind's amazed and will is slow, but not my path to you. So hang on, darling, can't love you more. My food is spoiled, I'm saddle sore. My guns are rusty and I'm dirt poor. Yet I'm giving all up for you. Hang on to your hats. Dry of dreams. Early education. I'll tell you of my inadequate impression of what it may sometimes be like to be a child of color in America. Youthful lack of years is, unfortunately, no protection against extreme possibilities of profound, corrosive societal instruction. Lessons abound concerning true feelings, weights, pressures, anxieties, demands, and authentic burdens. But, well, I never knew until I knew. When I was in Boy Scout camp, we shared the facilities with disturbed and in-trouble lads from a local juvenile detention center. One day, sprung from no apparent trigger, an African-American boy of about my tender age of 12 started swinging a large, heavy tent pole in an arc of wild menace. "Stay away! Keep away!" I asked others who he was. Hating his random violence and pretty much his whole irrational threat to my previously uncomplex day and world. Oh, him. I was told he was just a crazy black kid. But just how did they know he was a kook? And not just angry. How? Why, simple enough. He had tried, with a single mad-mindedness, to remove his intolerable skin from his body with a wire brush. Imagine that if you can, while pondering the kiddie section of Hell's Basement. I choked, mid-breath pause. I found myself without words, dry of dreams. I had surely just encountered a deeper hopelessness than, with bountiful luck, I would ever personally know. One of us had been harshly tutored in severe despair that day. The other, certainly a soul as sacred as any, would likely never escape the barren and cryptic cage constructed of his own innocent flesh in a life nurtured most cruelly by a desolate embrace of cultures. Bug. Dominion hopes of the elder race. There's a phrase in here called Lizard Fest for your information that refers to the time of the dinosaurs. Dominion hopes of the elder race. I don't like how he stared at me. The bug upon the window screen. He didn't blink or nothing, and he looked all buggy mean. He didn't crack a smile when I read him comic strips, and he wasn't even grateful when I showed him household tips. His look was kind of calculating as antennae twitched and curled, and he coolly claimed my screen as his. A slow bid to rule my world. Since afore the big old lizard fest, Bug's been working up a sweat, dodging meteors, bats, and fatal spray. But they're not through quite yet. Anteaters' tongues and birdie beaks and old ladies in flat shoes try to eat or squash or flick away, but Bugs stay current news. This one is staring hard at me, and even though he's small, he wants to get inside my house. He wants to take it all. And last one. Young George and the newly corrupted sky. A centennial of innocence lost, dedicated to my late friend George Bristow of Anchorage, Alaska. Young George. Oh, how he heard of the excitement of a great war. Yet low and high, his 1914 passed. Home front yard dirt looked similar. Cobbled, horsey streets, the foggy, rainy, azure sky. In that tentative moment, the broad, beckoning airways were there for us to choose. Such hopeful awe when initial first ascensions climbed into those birdie blue heights. Stunning to contemplate. There was naught but limited perspective to lose, and every worthy gain there was, elevating each courageous flight. But the craftiness behind the craft was never more than us. Despite new altitude or speed, we could not outmaneuver our hunter psyche, inbred, and inevitably corrupted. The atmosphere was reconfigured thus: a world without a roof, beneath which fear and naivete bled. Old 1980s George regaled us with biplane and loop-de-loop tales at work. In 1915, he was a London toddler when the first ever mass civilian bombings hit. Zeppelin dominance, explosions, panic. A playground ideal gone war berserk. 6+ decades on, his old eyes betrayed a tinge of cowering small boy horror that his stoic adult tongue could never admit. 20th century mega-wars are gone. The issues and era a rippled conclusion. The colossal aerial armadas receded and by obsolete masses corroded and rusted. But the sky has continued to bite for some populations, dashed of fair and fine illusion. And those know, more than most, that the lofty nurturing airs may never again be trusted. Formerly an ancient domain of arbitrary gods and a dream realm of brilliant visionaries, morphed vision became potential, perverted to its worst. Shame for us all, a millennial sought wonder, distorted to airborne vector death, and that the living exist exposed, now a full century cursed. 100 years of bombs, bullets, missiles, and napalm, drones, satellite spies, and soon perhaps orbiting murder to menace a world coerced. All futures may get a turn of dread, re-reaping torn innocence from once virgin heavens. But before any future, remember back with wistful sadness that it was a terrified little George the sky fell on first.